We are. With me not on camera when you arrive here. Thank you for joining me, everyone. And now, you know what? I did it again. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So we're going to do that right now. There we go. And now we are not going to be disturbed by anything except some salsa. We're going to do salsa two ways today. Now, if you are in a hurry and you don't have time to cook, we're going to do a fresh salsa. But before we do the fresh salsa, let me just turn this a little wee bit. Before we do the fresh salsa, we are going to get Salsa Verde started, and it is going to be absolutely delicious. So we need about half a pound of green tomatoes. Now, I happen to have a whole lot of green tomatoes out of my garden, about, I don't know, 7 gallons. I should weigh them. Some of them are starting to turn red, and some are not. So we are just going to chop these up, and we're going to get our little food processor, because you don't need a big one. This is just a small batch. Now, is salsa keto? Well, it is, but you have to remember when you're making salsa that you plan on sitting down to eat. Salsa is made with tomatoes that can really affect some people, and I am one of those people. So when you're going to make a salsa, make sure that you keep that in mind. So you can do things different ways. You can make it fresh. You can make it however you want to make it. Now, a little spot on here, those are not bad spots. They're just little scuffs on the skin. This is going to be all ground up, so it doesn't matter. This one, I think maybe I'll cut off. It goes a little deeper than I like. Okay, so we are going to cut this up and throw it in the food processor with 1 clove of garlic. Now, you can do this individually, or you can do it in the food processor altogether. If you do it all together, you're going to need a bigger food processor, which I did not get out because, you know, I like showing you guys that you don't have to have all of this huge kitchen equipment in your kitchen, especially if you have a small kitchen. No, I have a small kitchen, and I still have a lot of that kitchen equipment, but you know what? It is kind of the thing that I love to do, so we're okay with that. Takes up a little bit of room, but hopefully it's worth it to you guys. Now, if you haven't been here with me before, say hi. If you have been here, say hi anyway. And I'm hoping that all of you will learn something today, and you never know, maybe I'm going to learn something too. Now, these are some little tiny tomatoes. I picked everything. Everything needed to come in and be used up. So I'm going to be, I have a green tomato relish recipe that I make, and some of them will be turning into green tomato relish. Some of them maybe we'll turn into Salsa Verde to sell it at a farmer's market. You just never know what's going to end up in jars in my world. Okay, there's our tomatoes. Now let's get our food processor out. Here we go. Now this is just my little wee food processor. Let's clean up our mess here. Okay. We're just going to move this over a bit. Now, you can cook this down a little bit in your pot, or the other thing that you can do, and this is just going to give this a really nice, deep, smoky flavor. You can cut these in half, do them on the barbecue, or do them in the oven. Put them right up under the broiler for about 5 minutes. Should we do that today? Nah, maybe not today. Today we're going to put them in. Honestly, I tell you guys we're going to do something, and then I lose my train of thought. Okay, we're going to put these in here and we're going to grind them up. And then we will dump them in the pot and add some onion and some jalapeno. Now, I like the onion and the jalapeno a little bit chunkier, so we'll do this first. And it is just that easy. Okay, now we'll take this out. Maybe we'll do that a little bit more. You can have it as chunky as you want or not. It's up to you. Okay, so we're going to add this to the pot. And then put this back together. Now we're going to do half an onion in here. Now, you remember, I tell you guys this about onions all the time. Take a wee bit off the root end, just so that it's trimmed up, and get rid of your scraps. Now, cut this onion in half, and two things are true. First of all, it is going to be much easier to peel, she says, and then has trouble peeling it. Now, if you want the tender onion, take the first layer of onion off as well. It's always a little tougher. And I'm making a mess on my cutting board with the onion skins that we really don't want to eat. Okay, now keep in mind you want to keep your onions down to kind of a minimum. Whoops. And so we're going to cut this way. And then, I should have sharpened this knife. Can you hear that? Okay, I'm going to use this one because I know this one is sharper. There we go. It's not working so hard. That other one definitely needs to be sharpened. And we're going to cut this half an onion so that it's fairly fine. And then I think we are just going to throw it right in the pot. You can dice it up a little smaller if you like. Okay, now the question becomes, when it's salsa, do you like your salsa spicy or not so spicy? Because this is up to you. This is your kitchen, so do it your way. Okay, so I want the onions a little chunkier in here. And we don't want lots and lots, because remember, this is not something that you're going to sit down and eat a bowl of, because it does have carbs in it. And that's important to remember. You can enjoy some salsa. It is something that you can do when you're doing keto. But you do have to watch your carbs. Now, we're going to just trim this a little bit. You know, because we don't live somewhere south, it is hard to find really beautiful jalapenos a lot of times. Now, you've probably seen me do this before. If you haven't, I'm going to show you again. Now, if you don't want spicy, now jalapenos, well, in my world, they're not terribly spicy, but some people find them very spicy. So the rib, the center that's in here, if you take that out, now look at all of the seeds that are on here. Those seeds and this rib, that's what has the spicy. So if you want the spicy in your salsa, you just scrape those off right into the pot. Now, I don't usually use the ribs, and not because you can't. I don't use them because they have more carbs. I don't need to add extra if it's not going to be adding anything for me. Okay, so there's half, and we're only going to put half a jalapeno in there. We'll save the other one for our raw, and then cut this up. Now, this can be as fine or as chunky as you like. And we just get this cut up. Don't cut your fingers. Make sure your knife is sharp. Okay, now we're going to just do this really quick. see if I can do it with that. The last little while, I've cut myself several times. Not badly, but I've done it nonetheless. So, doesn't matter how much time you spend using a knife, practicing your knife skills, it doesn't mean that you are above cutting yourself, because you definitely are not. And you want to make sure that you're doing things in the kitchen safely, whether it's heat or sharp edges or whatever it is. Okay, so there is our jalapeno. Now I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to turn it on low and let it start cooking while we add the rest of our ingredients. Okay, so the cucumber that we have, oh, let me show you this beautiful cucumber that we have in here. Oops, there we go. You see how brilliant the green is in there. When we're done with this, it isn't going to be quite so brilliant. It's going to be more of kind of an avocado sort of green-ish. Okay, now we are going to be doing a few more Mexican type things. And the reason I decided to do that is because, now usually salsa is something that you see in the summertime, but salsa can be a wonderful condiment to put on anything. Use it as a salad dressing. Use it as whatever you want to use it as. You can put it on a burger. You can put it on, oh, I said I was going to turn this on 1, and then I turned it on high. Okay, now I'm cutting up about half a cup of parsley. Now, a lot of people add cilantro to their salsa. I am not one of those people. You know, there are differences in our taste buds, and people that don't like cilantro don't like it for the same reason. It tastes like soap. And it is a difference in the way your taste buds are organized. So we are going to put parsley in here. Fresh parsley is lovely anytime. Now this is parsley that I am hopefully going to grow over the winter. We'll see how it turns out. It was in my garden. And it's kind of roughly chopped. It's not, I'm not making it hugely pureed. Okay, there is that. Wipe my hands off a little bit. Now, it would not be salsa without garlic, in my opinion. So, let's get a clove of garlic out. Or 2 or 3. How garlicky do you like your salsa? Okay, I think 1 big clove is going to be just fine. Give it a whack, and it pops right out of that skin. You don't need to spend all kinds of time figuring it out. Now, it's important to remember, if you have a garlic press, you're welcome to use it, and you're going to get more garlic flavor if you do that. But remember, the finer your garlic is chopped, the more intense the garlic flavor is going to be. So if you mince it, it's not going to be as intense as if you put it through a garlic press. Okay. Now, if you want this minced a little bit more, a little bit finer, almost like putting it through a garlic press, I'm going to show you a trick, because this is an awesome trick. Take a little bit of salt and just sprinkle it on your garlic. Now take the blade of your knife, and the salt will grind your garlic for you, and it works beautifully. Look at how much more mashed that is already. So whatever salt you're planning on putting in there, you can use it this way first, and it brings the juices out of the garlic and mashes it up so that it is lovely. Okay, that's good enough. You can see how much more mashed that is, so we're going to get a more intense garlic flavor in there. And since Del isn't home, that's not a bad thing. Now, the next thing I'm going to use, assuming I can find it, is some apple cider vinegar. So we had about 1/4 cup of parsley and 1 clove of garlic. was looking for my word there. Now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. You can use white vinegar, you can use red wine vinegar, you can use any type of vinegar you like, as long as you like the flavor. Some people don't really care for apple cider vinegar, but I do. I quite like it in some things. It's definitely not something that I want to drink a lot of, but okay, now a spoon. We're going to give this a stir. Now you can add a little bit of sweet to this if you like. And we added a little bit of salt to it already because we used it to grind the garlic. And we are going to add a wee little bit of pepper. Now if you don't want black pepper in there, use white pepper. And about half a cup of water. And then we're just going to let these all simmer together. And it's going to cook down. And it's going to turn into a beautiful, amazing salsa. Now let's see what the juice is. I'll get a different spoon. That's not bad. I like it. It needs some spice though. So, should we spice it up a little bit? I'm thinking we should. Okay. I do not have my production crew here today. And you know what that means? It means I have nobody to take my dishes away for me. It means, pardon me, I have nobody to do my dishes for me. Although I don't really need that. But it is definitely handy when you have someone standing right beside you that can put things away and move things away for you when you need them to. Okay, now we are just going to let this simmer away. I'm going to turn that up to 2, so that's going to simmer away. Now, while that's happening, you don't have to cook salsa. Now, just before we do this, we're going to do a little bit more. Let's add a little bit of oomph to our salsa. Now I am going to add just a 1/4 of a teaspoon of TSL organic cumin, and I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of TSL Organics chili powder. Now this is definitely going to change the color a little bit, but you know what? My kitchen, my rules. It's okay if I want to change the color a little bit, and it's okay if you want to change the color a little bit as well. So do what you do in your kitchen, and this is going to add a nice chili powder flavor, and we'll taste it a little later, and we'll see if we need to add a little more onion, a little more garlic, and if we do, we can add garlic powder, onion powder. Okay, now, pardon me, we need a bowl, and we don't need a big bowl. We're just doing a wee little bit. And we're going to take some red tomatoes. Now these are Roma tomatoes. They're beautiful little tomatoes. Bought them at a local farmer's market. And so we are just going to slice this. We're not going to bother peeling it. And we're going to throw it in the bowl. Now we're going to add a couple of things here that we don't usually add to salsa, but we're going to make this one a little more like a salad, I guess. Mexican salad? Yeah, we'll call it a Mexican salad. A Mexican salsa salad. Okay. So how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have an amazing Thanksgiving? I hope you did. I know we did, and it was 100% keto, including the stuffing and the gravy. So if you missed my show on October 1st, I think, where we made a yeast bread, and then the next show I did keto stuffing using that yeast bread. you might want to go back and take a look at those before Christmas comes, because turkey dinners in my world, in my brain, require stuffing. Okay. Now we're going to give this a little bit of a stir. You can see that the tomato is starting to change color, even though our spices changed the color a little bit. Now, because I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit, because TSL Organics are very high quality raw spices, it's different than the ones that you buy in the store that have a wee little bit of spice, and mostly it's sugar and cornstarch. So we're not going to do sugar and cornstarch because they're not keto. Okay, so when you buy spices from TSL Organics, what you're getting is just the spice, and it is a beautiful, amazing quality organic spice that you can use anywhere. But when you're cooking with it, you're doing yourself a favor if you give it time to cook into the food and let those flavors all get to know each other and become best buddies. Okay, this is going to be about the last tomato. I think that's lots. Okay, we'll chop this up. So do you make salsa at home? Do you make guacamole at home? So, and what is your favorite thing to put in it? So I love it when you guys leave comments in the chat. Wherever you're watching from, leave me a comment. I try and keep an eye on the chat while we're together. So, and I want to wish a friend of the family well. She is recovering from an illness right now. So Anne-Marie, I hope you are starting to feel a little bit better. And I'm looking forward to you being able to come back and watch the show when you are feeling better. Okay, now this is not something that we usually put in salsa, but today we are. And so we're just making, it's like a cauliflower rice. And because this is a raw salsa, this is an awesome thing to put in just to give it a little extra crunch, especially if you're planning on using it as a bit of a salad. Okay, now I am going to keep this because that is my favorite part of the cauliflower, guaranteed. The stem from the cauliflower and the stem from the broccoli, those are my favorite parts. Okay, so we're just going to crunch this up a little bit more so it's more like a cauliflower rice, and this is just simmering away, and you can see the color getting deeper and deeper, and that means the flavors are getting deeper and deeper. Okay, now let's add the cauliflower to the bowl. Okay, there. Now, the other half of the jalapeno. So do we want this one spicy as well? Let's leave this one not so spicy. So we'll take this. Now you can save those seeds for later if you like, or you can just toss them in your compost pail. And I hope you're using a compost pail, guys. If you live someplace where you have a compost service, and we do here, you just fill your pail with whatever food scraps you have, or in our case it includes pizza boxes or anything that is organic, so not a plastic pizza liner or anything. Okay, now this is going to be so much milder because we're not adding the seeds in. I'm going to turn this down to 1 and just let it simmer. Now, the question becomes, what are we going to use the salsa on? Well, with the raw salsa, we can put it on, well, with either one of them. You can put it on salad, you can put it on a burger. When we get together on, what day is this? This is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. when we get together on Friday, we are going to make lunch, and it's going to involve salsa burgers and maybe some nacho chips. Should we do nacho chips? What do you think? Do you eat nacho chips? And can you make them keto? You can, I promise. Okay, now, there is our half a jalapeno in there. And we are going to add that other half an onion that we had earlier. Okay, make sure you get all of the onion skin off of there. And look at how well, when you leave that little bit of the root end on, look at how well this stays together. You don't have to try and hold it together. It just stays together. Now you can slice this as fine or as chunky as you like. You can give it a slice this way. It just kind of makes the end pieces slice or a little bit less chunky. And then we'll do this up. Now I don't want all of this onion in this little bowl, I don't think. I think that's about enough, so I'm going to save the rest of this onion for later on. Okay, now we are going to add a little bit of salt in here. And we're going to give this other one a stir. Look at how beautiful that's getting. And you can tell that it's cooking down and it's turning into an amazing salsa verde. Okay, now, what else do we want to put in there? Now we can put a little bit of garlic in there. We can put a little bit of more onion in there if we want. I need to get my cloth to wipe the onion off my hands. So I'm going to add a little bit of TSL Organics chili powder in this as well, because I love it in salsa, and it's beautiful in a red tomato, ripe tomato salsa. So we're going to do about half a teaspoon. And then we're going to do something else that's a little bit weird. We're going to add a little bit of an English cucumber. So we're putting English cucumber in our Mexican salsa. But it's our salsa, so we can do whatever we like. Now, I'm not going to use a lot, just a wee bit. And I'm going to slice this way. Just makes it a little easier to deal with rather than dealing with little tiny rounds. And that is just simmering away. Now, once it starts getting quite thick, then you know you're done. Okay, now take half of your cucumber, turn it the other way, and then make sure that you're watching your fingers. Use your knuckles as a guide. It makes it a little harder to cut yourself. It's still not impossible, but it makes it a little harder. Okay. So we're going to have all kinds of crunch and flavors, and so we're going to need some spices in here. Now we've put a little bit of chili powder in here. And a little bit of salt. Now this time, instead of using black pepper, I'm going to use white pepper. It has a little bit of a different flavor profile. Now if you are looking for white pepper, let me know, because that is another one of those things in the TSL lineup is white pepper and white peppercorns. White peppercorns can be a little bit hard to find, but they are not hard to find if you come and chat with me at a farmer's market. Now, having said that, if you come to me today, I'm not sure that I'll have it ready. We'll see if I get my label built in time. Okay. Get this done and watch my thumb. I cannot tell you how many times I have come close to cutting my thumb when I'm doing that. Okay. There we go. Now there is a fair amount of veggies in here, so we're going to add a little more salt. Not lots more, but a little. And we that one is almost done. I'm going to let it boil down a little bit more. The more this reduces, the thicker it's going to get, the more intense those flavors are going to get. And we've gone over today, but I hope you guys don't mind hanging out with me for a little bit longer. Now, we are going to add a little bit of garlic powder to this. This is TSL Organics garlic powder. And we're just going to sprinkle a wee bit in here. It does not take very much garlic powder to give you a pretty intense garlic flavor. And the nice thing about using garlic powder in something like this is that when you use a powder, it blends in so well. Oh, and are you drinking a cup of coffee right now? Because I am hoping that you are enjoying your coffee as much as I have been today. Sugar-free almond this time. Okay, you can add cilantro to this. You can add parsley to this. You can add cayenne pepper to this. I'm not going to, but you can. You can add a little bit of chipotle powder. It's going to give it a little bit more of a smoky flavor. And that is a lovely addition. Actually, I'm thinking maybe we should do that. So I will get out my jar of TSL chipotle powder and grab another teaspoon. You know, I have been doing so much blending and cooking and running low on teaspoons. Now this is a 1/4 teaspoon. This is a lot. I'm not even going to use it all. I'm going to make it about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So chipotle powder goes a long way. So this is one of those you get what you pay for kinds of things, because it is lovely and it's very intense. There you go. Okay, so now we have a little bit of that smoky chipotle flavor in here. Now, if you put this in your fridge and you let it rest for a little while, pardon me, all of these flavors are going to get even more intense. And then on Friday when we get together, if you haven't figured out what you want to put it on yet, you can just put these in little lettuce boats and cook some taco meat. Do you have some TSL taco seasoning in your cupboard? Okay, now I am going to say this is almost done. So let's have a little nibble and see what we think. That is wonderful. We've done a good job. Okay, so Salsa Verde. That's used in enchiladas. It's used on rice. It's used all over the place. It is wonderful. A raw salsa. You just can't beat a raw salsa. And if you like cilantro, add parsley, add whatever it is that you want to add. Let's see what that chipotle powder is doing to it. That gives it that deep smoky flavor. If we had barbecued these ingredients and done a cooked salsa, you get that smoky flavor by barbecuing the jalapeno or serrano or whatever pepper you're using. We have a little bit of heat from the chili powder and from the chipotle powder, and we have a little bit of heat from the jalapeno. So you can leave any or all of these out. Make the salsa your own. In Mexico, every family has their own preference. Every family does it the way they want to do it. So the basic ingredients are some type of pepper, garlic, salt, tomato, onion, and the rest of it is all up to you. So now you know how to do a salsa salad or topping for a chicken burger, a fish fillet, whatever it is you're wanting to do. And we have this amazing salsa verde. Maybe we need to look at doing some enchiladas. So we will be back here on Friday at noon. So mark that on your calendars, noon Mountain on Friday. October 15th. Friday, October 15th. So, I hope I'm going to see you there, whether you're watching this live or you are watching a replay. I hope you're enjoying your coffee. Thank you so much for joining me. Do your very best to live your best version of this shining life and eat some salsa. But pay attention to what your body tells you after you eat it. If I eat too much of this, my lower back is just going to freak out on me. I end up with inflammation, and for me, too many tomatoes gives me inflammation in my lower back. That's where it settles. So, eat your salsa, keep doing keto, and do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. And look for me today at the Wetaskiwin Farmers Market, pardon me, in central Alberta, because I will be there with some new products for TSL Organics, and I am excited to share them with all of you. So hopefully I will see you there. If not, I will see you here on Friday at noon, and we will do something yummy with our salsa, and we'll have lunch. I'll see you at noon on Friday. Bye for now, everyone.